what makes him special, and maybe, if there are any chinks in the armour, what they are.
Oh, I think the most interesting thing that came out of the interview was when he says that by chance and mischance, in Perth, he'd been not playing so well, not this tour, before, and he went back and across. Not as far as he's doing now, he's going almost off stump and outside, but going back and across, I can think of 2 or 3 people that do that. Greg Chappell did that. Wonderful player, and he went back and across, and the whole thing changed for him. He could pull better. He was in great positions. He could play the short ball better, and everything just changed. And he's gone. He admitted himself. He actually goes a bit further across now, but it works fantastic for him.
Why doesn't everybody do that?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask Geoffrey, what he thought about his technique, because it is so different, and it's not something surely you'd be teaching youngsters out there. What's your impression of his technique?
Well, like him, when I was a young kid, I just stood still. He talked about standing still, which you do. You taught to stand still, your back behind your right toe. And I got out to a guy called Graham Calling, you've never heard of, New South Wales, Australia, 3 times. And eventually I got out twice, he was first change, and they opened with him and got me out. And I thought, hang on, next test, he's definitely going to open the bowling. So I got to do something, and I went to Bill Bowes, who played with the great Herbert Sutcliffe at Yorkshire, England, Hobbs and Sutcliffe, the great opener. I said, I got to do something here. And he told me that Sutcliffe played back and across. Oh, I said, well, I went in the nets. It felt a bit funny, but I thought I got to do something. And that was the test that we fortunately had 3 mornings of nets, because Bobby Simpson got 300. And we fielded 2 days and a bit. I got a bat just before lunch, and it worked. I went back and across, I got 50-odd runs. And I started doing that. The next test, I got 100 at the Oval. And I was interested that he did that. He obviously was playing, OK, he got in the side, but not special. And by pure chance, mischance, call it what you want, he tried something different. And hey, presto, it's like a magic wand. Everything opens up, and suddenly you're playing differently, better than you've ever done in your life.
So can you do that and then go back to what you used to do before? Can you chop and change that technique? Is it an added weapon?
Yes.
Against a particular bowler?
But he's not going to go back to standing still if this is working so brilliantly, and I didn't. I stood still for spinners. Yeah. I stood still for medium pacers sometimes. But against the quicker bowlers, you're just getting such fantastic seeing positions with your head about off stump. You watch him batting, he goes so far because his head is really off stump, and that's where you want to be. You talk about head, it's really your eyes. Because, you know, if you put your head over and close your eyes, you're hopeless, you can't see anything. But we talk about head, really. Michael does the same, we all do, but it's a miss sort of word. You get over with your head, so your eyes are on off stump, and that's your vulnerable area. Every single batsman that's ever played in the history of the game, we're all vulnerable in that what I call the corridor of uncertainty. Yeah. Because if McGrahan people bowl line and length there, I don't care who you are, if it does a bit and you don't get it right, you're out. So he gets over there, and hey presto, it's like a magic wand's been waved at him, and he can do everything, he can see everything better, and he's playing out of his skin.
The thing about Steve Smith is that he does take that big movement across, but as the bowler lets go of the ball, he's dead still.
Yeah, we all are.
And so then he can move from there. But a little bit of history with Steve Smith is, yeah, he came into the Australian team more as a leg spinner to start with, and then, but you could tell he loved batting, but he was a little bit inconsistent. I'm sure people were saying to him, mate, you can't walk across this far, you can't play through the leg side like that. Yeah. But he's made the decision himself. He's got probably was a bit inconsistent, got dropped out of the Australian team. He went back and went, you know what? This is how I score runs. This is how I know I bat my best. And that's part of the battle of being successful in international cricket. Figuring out how you score your runs and sticking to it through thick and thin. And look there. Yeah. The second half is where he's become so consistent and so prolific. The first half, you can see he's a little bit up and down, a little bit inconsistent.
No, absolutely. I think it was that second 100, which was in Perth, which was the one Geoffrey referred to, where he made that technical change and presumably has felt at home with it ever since. He's been averaged 74 since then, and it's getting better every match.
What some people do, though, when they see him play back, he plays back and across, and then they can't get forward when the ball's pitched up, because the weight is on the back foot. If you play back and your weight's there, you are going to soon get forward when they're bowling 88, 90 miles an hour. He plays back and across, like all of us, and you're always on the ball of your foot. So you're not flat-footed. you're on the ball of the foot like a dancer, ready to spring forward. So you've got to be able to transfer your weight from back. You go back, and you can go further back if it's very short, you know, up here. But you've got to go back on the ball of your foot and be able to go forward to the ball, and that's what he does well. He transfers his weight. So he goes back and across, so his eyes are over off stump, his judgment is good. That's why they're all bowling outside off stump, and he's letting it go, he's letting it go. He's winning every time because he's out patience-ing them. Then they bowl a bit straight because they think they can see all his stumps. They're going to get him LBW. And he goes, ping, thank you very much. I've won that one. Now go again outside off stump, and he just wins.
He does at the moment. It's working that well. That's his average in this Ashes, 151, outstripping the previous record holder. Can you guess who that was, Huss? There's a clue.
Sir Geoffrey Boycott, does it? No, well, the thing is, I think even if Steve Smith gets a pair in this Test match, he'll still average over 100 for the series, which is pretty incredible in itself. The other thing that Steve Smith does so well, he plays the situation, plays the moment so well.
Which Melbourne was very good evidence of, wasn't it? He played for the team, that didn't play for himself, did he?
Exactly right. He took the responsibility. He knew that Australia just needed to bat this day out. And it's not about personal records or anything here. It's just about doing the job for the team, leading from the front as captain. And, yeah, he did a fantastic job for the team.
Look where his head is. Look where his eyes are. Off stump and outside almost. And so, see? And then it's pitched up, just wallops it. But you get such a great view.
Yeah, full array of shots. When needed, after the defensive period, obviously, he can clearly play. We've just seen that.
I mean,
he's through the offside just as much as
pitch and all that, but we're looking at his batting, and his batting is exceptional. At the moment, he's in the best form of his life.
And the reason, because he's so clear in his mind. There's no external distractions worrying him, you know. And you know, I know Joe Root's been criticised for not being able to convert his 50s into 100s, but he's had so much external stuff to deal with, all the stuff that clouds your mind. Whereas Steve Smith, the preparation's been good. He's clear in his mind. This is what we need to do. This is what I need to do for the team right now, today. And that makes a big difference. A clear mind is crucial in batting.
You have to. If your mind is not clear, your arms and your feet can't move properly. You can't move at all properly.
If we look at the leading run scorers in the series, then, and clearly he's in front, and now Dave Warner's catching him up. Cookie's obviously now into the reckoning. Is it simplistic, us, to say he is the difference between the two teams?
Certainly from the batting side of things, that's one piece of the puzzle in my view. That was the interesting one for me coming in. It was Steve Smith versus Joe Root. Who could have the bigger impression on the series? The other side is probably the pace bowling. 15 or 20 kilometres an hour faster. I think that's been a big difference as well.
So, with every positive, eventually, because that's the way sport works, there has to be a negative. What's the chink in the armour?
Well, he's worked out that most Test matches today are played on better and better pitches, you know, preparations better, covering and so forth. So he's worked out a way that when he plays on those, very difficult to get out. I mean, he's got hundreds in England when we've had flat pitches, but when we had a pitch that moved around a couple of times, his technique didn't work. And same when he batted under lights, when Australia made a mess of it. In
Adelaide,
In Adelaide. Jimmy Anderson made his technique look very funny, very awkward. But you're not going to get many pitches like that. He got one against Broad, got 8 for 15 at Nottingham, didn't he? All at sea. But you don't get many pitches, fortunately. And so he's got a way on these good batting pitches. Very difficult to get him out. I have a different view where they should bowl, but I'm not saying it'll work.
Right. Can you tell us?
Well, I have mentioned on commentary, look, they're all bowling outside off stump, which I just mentioned, and he's out concentrating them, he's out patience-ing them. Nobody's bowled very straight, forget the offside, bowl very straight with an onside field. Right. It's a bit harder in the modern era to do that because you're only allowed 5 fielders. When Australia came and played England in the bodyline test, you could have as many fielders as you want on the onside, so it's harder to control bowling at the body. That's why it was difficult. But I think you should bowl straighter. Once you bowl wide, you're taking LBW out of the play. There's no LBW because you're not bowling straight enough. And make him play to his favourite side. It's like, you know, he prefers onside. He can play off, but he prefers on. Bowl to that strength with 2 men in the box. And mid-on, mid-wicket, fine leg.
Have they not tried it this series?
No. See what happens.
Dhoni tried it a couple of years ago and had some success.
Well, he's India, isn't he? He's not English.
No, but this series, have the English not tried it this series? Not even early on? Not to your memory?
Nobody's bowled what I talked about when years ago I said to Matthew Hoggard in Adelaide on a flat one, bowl off cutters. I thought Broad could do that. Just cut his pace a little, still bowl sharpish. Matthew was like him, medium fast, and bowl to a mainly onside field, 2 men in the box for the drive, mid-on, square leg, and bowl off cutters, even the wicket keeper up, so you can't bowl quite as quick. It's just different. It's like an off-spinner turning it with two men in the box, we call it, on the drive, and you're actually taking that out play. You've got a mid-off, you've got a slip, and you're making him play to one side, his favourite, but you've got 2 men catching in the box. Matthew got 7 wickets at Adelaide doing that. It's just that the England batsman works a good second innings against Shane Warne, I think. But he actually got 7 wickets because it denies you one side. And when you're under pressure to a really good player in his best form, you have to find a way that you're not opening up all the field to him, because he's that good. He's got a good pitch, he's batting great. Wow, you know, it's nearly all in his favour, especially when the ball's not new. So you have to find a way. Am I going to bowl offside or leg side? Well, they've tried offside, bowling wider, it hasn't worked. You've got to try now and say, OK, I'm going to bowl straight, make you play this way. Yeah. And he's going to fancy that, but you've got 2 men on the drive. It may work, it may not, but you have to keep trying A, you have to try B, then you have to try C, and you have to get to D, and then that works. I've got him now for a while. And if you don't, well, good luck to the lad. But you haven't really tried that, haven't you, England?
Oh, I feel like England have tried quite a number of plans to...
But they haven't tried that one.
I think they have come straight for certain periods, but just not maintained it. No, maybe not. But they tried the bouncers in Brisbane as well.
That's easy.
But I think it's just go back to basics. Bowl top of off stump, the old Glenn McGrath, top of off stump, the odd bouncer here or there, still try and get him out, challenge his defence, try and get him caught in the slips. He is human, he can make mistakes.
But it hasn't worked yet.
But if you keep trying different things,
well,
then...
when's it going to work? In 2025? By then he's going to have 1 million runs.
Test cricket's, well, you know as better as anyone.
It hasn't worked yet.
It's about patience, it's about discipline for long, long periods of time. Not just for half an hour, it's for an hour. It might take 2 hours, it might take 3.5.
They can't do that. That's my whole point. They haven't been able to do... They bowl wide. He shows patience and skill not to get sucked in. Then they bowl straight and he goes, thank you very much. Who's winning? Him. So if they can't do that, it's not good saying do it. If they can't do it, you've got to try something else. You ask me, that's what I'd try. That's only my view.
I'm interested to hear that, obviously, like most batsmen, with his lateral movement, any batsman struggles. I heard him talk this week about the fact that he wants to play county cricket. Do you think that's with a view to 2019? That he wants to be... that's the next step for him, to be good in that set of conditions in England?
I think you're right. Yeah, getting that Duke ball, playing against that, getting the English conditions, getting a feel for the conditions. Because England is a unique place to play, and certainly from personal experience, the first month or so that you're playing there, it's a real challenge. But then later on in the summer, once the pitches flatten out and you get used to the conditions, get used to that ball moving around, it does become a lot better. And so, yeah, I'm sure he's thinking ahead a little bit there and wanting to have a big series in England.